This video is sponsored by Magellan TV. During the Battle of Iwo Jima, United States Marine Tony Stein carried with him one of the most unusual non-standard weapons of World War II. With an empty weight of 21 pounds and fed with 11-pound 100-round belts, the AN-M2 was actually meant to be an aircraft machine gun. On the ground, however, it became the Stinger, thanks to its extreme rate of fire that was said to deliver, quote, quite the sting. The reappropriated gun was one of only 6 believed to have been created during the war. Utilizing its ferocious firepower of 1,200 rounds a minute, Stein single-handedly stormed a series of Japanese pillboxes before shepherding wounded soldiers back to beaches as he had to reload. America's slog across the Pacific required extreme ingenuity from Marines like Tony Stein, as Japan refused to loosen their grip on even the smallest of islands. Learn more about these brutal World War II battles on land, on sea, and in the air with Magellan TV's War of Attrition, presented in color and including rare footage shot by the soldiers themselves. Watch today and visit try.magellantv.com/darkdocs or click the link in the description below to get a free 1-month trial of Magellan TV. Magellan TV is a streaming service that features some of the most incredible documentary and history content available anywhere, with new programs added on a weekly basis that stream with no ads and without interruption. We love our own short documentaries, but sometimes even we love getting lost in a full-length, full-feature program. Support Dark Docs and check out Magellan TV's over 2,000 documentaries with your 1-month free trial. Click the link in the description below or visit try.magellantv.com/darkdocs today. Iwo Jima. Over 3 years, the US and Japanese forces stalemated after a brutal series of battles exhausted the two nations. One after another, soldiers started falling as America neared victory on the Japanese islands. The war was at its peak once the fight moved to the Ogasawara archipelago. Unlike any other confrontation in the Pacific, the Battle of Iwo Jima increased morale among troops. However, before victory, Marines would have to secure the island, and soldiers put to the test. On Monday morning, February 19, 1945, action in the island sparked no later than 9 sharp. 6,000 troops made up the 5th Amphibious Corps, which landed on the southeastern front. Following swiftly, the 5th Marine Division flanked the left as the 4th darted in from the right side. The 5th Marine Division disembarked at the feet of Mount Suribachi, the most prominent point on the island. It was also the most advantageous. Going into battle, it seemed as if Japan was outmanned. However, from beyond the black sand, 21,000 troops emerged. They sprang from nearly 600 bunkers, blockhouses, and hidden areas. Japanese soldiers and armed yeomen fought Marines as they closed in. Despite naval bombardment just days before the landing, the Japanese proudly resolved to match the US's might and once more defend their shores. The Stinger. In the late stages of the war, the weapons industry boomed. American manufacturers were rapidly pumping out new and improved guns, planes, tanks, and armored cars. The United States was becoming quite a manufacturing powerhouse, thanks in large part to the wartime industry. Still, this booming industry didn't mean lives weren't lost. In fact, often soldiers on the ground found they had to improvise when ammo ran low. Before the 1945 invasion of Iwo Jima, the .30 caliber Browning AN-M2 aircraft gun was adopted as an infantry weapon. It was designed and developed by Marines out of a makeshift Stinger light machine gun. Salvaged either from wrecked or inoperable aircraft, by itself the weapon seemed like an odd choice for soldiers since it overheated quickly, designed to cool off during flight. Still, features such as the gun's high rate of fire made it intriguing. It could shoot at twice the speed of standard machine guns and be considerably lighter than most airplane guns. The Stinger's first appearance in battle was during the Allied campaign in the Solomon Islands. In fact, AN-M2 guns were found in nearly every US Navy aircraft in the Pacific theater at the time. Each time a plane was downed, a new machine gun became available. With a considerable supply, troops on the ground quickly fit these guns for their own purposes. While the weapon was light enough for a single soldier to carry, it was nearly impossible to operate when left in its initial configuration. The AN-M2 was solely intended for use as an aircraft turret. Therefore, it lacked the features needed in a handheld gun, such as sight, trigger, stock, and ergonomic considerations. Although the weapon possessed functional components, operation by a single person often failed. Private William Colby sent one mounted on a bipod on Bougainville Island, where it served a stationary defensive turret. This first run made evident that an aircraft machine gun could be repurposed as an infantry weapon. A year later, the ANM-2 gained another modification. Sergeant Milan Grevitz collaborated with Private John Little to modify the weapon so it could be carried rather than placed in a stationary position. Their goal was to give the Marines a leg up in Iwo Jima by providing a weapon to ensure they get to the center of the island. They wanted it mobile and manageable for a single soldier. They decided to fashion spare stocks for the M1 Garand rifle into the appropriate size, allowing them to fit the shape of the rear buffer tube of the aircraft gun. They made a trigger from scraps of sheet metal. They also fabricated an adapter to fit the Browning automatic rifle's bipod and carrying handle. They gave it a rudimentary front and rear sights to help the wielding soldier aim. The gun was supposed to be used in close quarters, so target accuracy was not a priority. Finally, the Stinger was reborn. Historical records show the military produced in total 6 Stingers. After its successful rollout at Iwo Jima, the weapon was considered for large-scale production. Still, the war wrapped up before production went into any serious discussion. Tony Stein. Then known as the Gem City, Corporal Tony Stein hailed from Dayton, Ohio. Stein was known throughout his community as a tinkerer, building tools not unlike Ohio's own Wright brothers. Nevertheless, after completing high school, Stein enlisted in the Marine Corps on September 22, 1942. He went to boot camp immediately, and then into airborne training. He deployed during the Bougainville campaigns, where he impressed fellow soldiers by dispatching 5 snipers in one day. When he returned to the United States, he joined the Marine Parachute Regiment. Unfortunately, this regiment was soon disbanded, and he was transferred to the A Company of the 5th Marine Division. His unit, tasked with the amphibious landing of Japan on February 19, 1945, would be where Stein would soon become known as a legend. One-man band. Corporal Tony Stein, with the 5th Marine Division, landed at the bottom of Mount Suribachi. During the first assault, he was one of the first Marines to set up a defensive position ahead of the beach. He engaged Japanese soldiers with his customized Stinger 30 caliber machine gun, which he assisted a Marine armorer in modifying. As the unit marched on, Stein took an opportunity to storm a set of blockhouses. Stein set his sights on pillboxes, going one by one, wiping each one clean. Pillbox after pillbox emptied, as he charged forward by himself. The Stinger's superior rate of fire surpassed most, if not all, handheld weapons. In the fog of battle, Stein ran out of ammo, and he retreated to find more. He realized the danger and the need to push through, so he threw off his helmet and kicked off his shoes. Running with less weight, he stopped to pick up a fellow wounded soldier and helped him get back to the beach. The soldier was safely taken to the doctors, and Stein was able to continue his charge. He kept storming pillboxes and taking wounded men back to the beach. He made a total of 8 trips to the beach and back, emptying more and more belts of ammunition on the enemy. His actions earned him the Medal of Honor. Upon receiving it, it was stated, quote, "The first man of his unit to be on station after hitting the beach in the initial assault, Corporal Stein, armed with a personally improvised aircraft-type weapon, provided rapid covering fire as the remainder of his platoon attempted to move into position." As the battle dragged on, there was no longer a need for him to use such intense firepower against pillboxes. He was sent to the rear to post guard as the unit withdrew. USS Stein. The 28th Marines moved to take Mount Suribachi. On February 23rd, they erected the American flag on the mountaintop. Despite the victory, Stein was wounded and needed immediate evacuation to a vessel hospital. As he was being treated, his regiment tread through the western side of Iwo Jima. Never one to sit out a battle, Stein resolved to leave the hospital and rejoin his unit, even if his wounds hadn't healed. Unfortunately, while leading a 19-soldier patrol, Stein was struck by a Japanese sniper. On February 19, 1946, his Medal of Honor was bestowed onto his widowed wife by the governor of Ohio, Frank Lausch. After a brief funeral in the 5th Division Cemetery, Stein's final resting place was moved to Dayton. Laid to rest in Calvary Cemetery, Stein received full military honors for his ultimate sacrifice. The USS Navy Knox-class frigate, commissioned in 1972, was named after him in his honor, the USS Stein. Losing their sting. Although the improvised Stinger weapon was somewhat successful at Iwo Jima, it was not picked up for further duplication. 6 months after the battle and 2 atomic bombs, the Japanese Empire announced its unconditional surrender under the Potsdam Declaration. Any military interest in the mass production of the light machine gun was lost due to a decrease in demand for weapons in the post-war world. The Stinger was deemed unnecessary and too complicated as a field conversion. As the war drew to a close, many weapons used throughout were lost or discarded. No Stingers survived. Some theorize that the light machine guns were thrown in the ocean or buried in the sand. Others say 1 or 2 stingers may eventually surface if they've been kept as memorabilia. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to Magellan TV for sponsoring this video and for offering a free trial to Dark Docs viewers. Please visit try.magellantv.com/darkdocs or click on the link in the description below for access to more than 2,000 documentaries, streaming across all your devices without interruption.